13 News Now at 6 comes on the air tonight, just hours after President Joe Biden announces that he will drop his bid for re-election. Our team reached out to Virginia lawmakers and local voters in the fallout of this historic announcement. We'll also speak in about 10 minutes with a political analyst to get some insight on the impacts of President Biden's decision. And we want to hear your questions tonight. If you have a question about President Biden's announcement and what happens moving forward, mention me on X. That's at 13 Dan Kennedy, and we'll work to get your questions answered. But first, ABC's Perry Russom has more on the breaking political developments from Washington.
President Biden dropping out of the race for president, releasing a statement that reads in part, "I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." Biden exits the race amid growing calls from lawmakers for him to step aside. Democrat turned independent Senator Joe Manchin this morning.
It's time. It's just time. To a new generation to come in.
Biden's candidacy began to unravel nearly 1 month ago at the first presidential debate with former President Trump.
This guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want.
Days later, Biden telling ABC's George Stephanopoulos only divine intervention could get him to leave the race.
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that.
Biden remained steadfast on the campaign trail.
If you're going to drop out, what you going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again.
This is the first time an incumbent president has dropped out since 1968. When President Lyndon Baines Johnson stepped aside. Biden is now endorsing his Vice President Kamala Harris, who was 22 years younger than Biden. The president writing, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this." Harris does not automatically become the Democratic nominee. The process to choose a ticket remains murky, and it's not clear if other Democrats will challenge Harris. Democratic National Committee Chairman Jamie Harrison saying, in short order, the American people will hear from the Democratic Party on next steps in the path forward for the nomination process. Trump's campaign team is already narrowing attacks on Harris. Donald Trump Jr. calling Harris more liberal and less competent than Biden. We are waiting to see when President Biden will address the nation. He has been at his vacation home in Rehoboth Beach, recovering from COVID. Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
The president's announcement came at 1:46 this afternoon in the form of a letter posted on social media. The contents of that letter then rippled across America and has people across the political spectrum talking still tonight. Brenna McIntosh spoke with some of them. She is live in Norfolk with what voters are saying about the president dropping out of this election. And Brenna, what are voters telling you?
Well, Dan, I've heard mixed opinions from people here in Hampton Roads. President Joe Biden made the announcement he's not seeking re-election just hours ago. Now, some say they're shocked to hear the news. Others say it's a long time coming. With the election just a couple of months away, people tell me they think this could give former President Donald Trump an advantage, while others think it's a good move for the Democratic Party.
So I think it was a very good choice for him to step down. If you watch the Trump and Biden debate, he was having a hard time speaking.
I was shocked. I was very shocked because I am a Biden supporter, and I really wanted him to continue his run for race for president.
And I've also heard mixed opinions from people on Biden throwing his support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. We'll hear more from voters coming up on 13 News Now at 11. For now, live in Norfolk, Brenna McIntosh, 13 News Now.
Brenna, thanks. We are also, as you can imagine, hearing from a lot of lawmakers responding to this announcement tonight as well. Stephanie Johnson is in the studio to share what lawmakers across Virginia are saying about President Biden's decision to step aside. And Stephanie, what are they saying?
Yeah, Dan, overall, legislators in Virginia are in support of Biden's decision to exit the presidential race. Now, Democratic Senator Mamie Locke says, "I'm so sorry to hear President Biden is stepping away. The leadership of this party has been so disrespectful to an individual who has done so much for them in this country." Also sharing their opinion is Senator Aaron Rouse, as well as Delegate Michael Fagans. Senator Tim Kaine and more support Biden's decision to step down. Also sharing their support is Senator Mark Warner. He said in part, after all he's done, I respect President Biden's difficult decision to step aside in this upcoming election, and I look forward to hearing from him later this week. Now, while many are sharing their support for President Biden's decision to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris to run in his place, and that includes Virginia Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan, our very own Janet Rhodes spoke to the Congresswoman this afternoon. McClellan was the first black woman elected into Congress in the state of Virginia. Here's what she had to say about Vice President Kamala Harris' potentially historic run for president.
She's the most qualified person. She's ready to be president on day one. She will energize our base. And, she was a very strong partner with President Biden. And I think she's the best candidate to carry on that legacy and make it her own.
And Virginia Attorney General Jason Mayorkas blasted Democrats in Washington, D.C. over social media, saying in part, quote, if Joe Biden believes he's not physically capable of serving as president in January 2025, it really means he's not capable to serve now and needs to resign. We can't afford any more weak leadership. To read more reactions from Virginia politicians, you can log onto our website, 13newsnow.com. Stephanie Johnson, 13 News Now.